Mike Lawrence, let's start with you. How did this come about? You were there, you heard about it. Your mic should be on.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be involved with it. I was just learning photography, I was learning video, and I got tossed into this mix. Okay, it was an amazing thing. It changed my life. I started out as a dance photographer, and when this happened, I became a graffiti photographer. It just, like my life just took a different direction. And I was lucky enough to meet some of the most creative people in the world, okay? They created a new art. And I just happened to be lucky enough to see the beginning of it and document it.
Steve and Mike, what were you told about this ballet? What was going to happen? Were you guys warned? How did you find out about it a week ahead of time, a day ahead of time?
We had a 2-week notice, and you look pick like top group to paint, and he knew I could handle it because I did a lot of painting on the subway cars. So he said, you guys, you picked Mike, you picked a bunch of us, and we just went. That day we showed up, we were in the back room, like you could see the spray cans, we were looking at the colors, spraying and testing them out, and we were getting ready for the show.
What did they tell you, Mike? How far in advance notice did you get? Were you ready? Were you practicing? What was what?
We met Hugo in October, November '72, so that was up at J. Hood Wright Park, we called Jew Park, excuse me. That's what it was by the George Washington Bridge. We're from 171st Street, 3 blocks from my house. And, we took it from there to Hugo's house on 89th Street, off of Riverside, and then we went up to City College, where that was the first time we all got together with Stitch, Snake, Cat, Webb, myself, Steve, Jack Stark, and that was like a test run. Him being associate, one of the associate professors in those guys, and they were filming us. So, like Henry shared in your wall around this movie, we saw all that paint and markers and the paper up there. And they said, oh wow, it's all free. We don't have to go steal it. So that's what led up to where within October, November '72 to February, March '73, we took it from the streets to being creative, manifesting, talking about it, and then we're on stage at the city center. 3,500 people standing there, and so, for us, this is like, what, the second or third show. We only did a few shows, because I caused chaos there with some of the other people. And,
Not only that, it traveled to Chicago.
No, but before that, I'm just saying, we're talking about...
We'll get your chaos in a little
I
bit.
think there was, all total, there were 6 of us, and it was just amazing. Every time it was like so creative. Just being there, I got to see every show, so it was good.
Were you, Steve, what was it like? Were you nervous being on stage there?
I was nervous, but I felt like I was going into the yard to go paint. So I felt a little comfortable with that. Then I had all my compadres with us. We didn't have to go steal any paint because it was already there, supplied for us. So once we came out on stage, we started doing our thing. We started spray painting on the backgrounds, and they were moving slowly. I never seen anything like that. Whoever the choreographer was, they put on a great entertainment, the way they set up with the dancers and the artist painting. So as you can see, I'm painting right now. So like we love to paint. You gotta understand that, but we were kind of nervous, and it was exhilarating for us to be on stage in front of everybody like that. I was surprised to see everybody in gowns and tuxedos. It was like we were going to an opera or something.
Mike, were you nervous on stage?
It was healthy nervous because growing up in school, I went to Incarnation Catholic School and the day camp, so you had to do plays. So I did like Oliver and Maine and all that stuff. So, being there on stage with the lights and Mom and they're gonna stay there and hello, Dolly. This is not good all that time. So I love that, the theatrical thing. And plus, my mom, she was a model. She had, for her legs and whatnot. And so, being involved with that. Steve's father being a photographer. So we kind of used to being in the public eye. But this is a different level. This is high society. Again, I'm sorry I gave you a lengthy statement on the last one because I'm trying to give everyone a visual of how we started from that short time of October, November to March, on 4 or 5 months, Christmas, New Year's, and now we're on stage, at the city center. where, you know, Mike was able to capture this historic moment, so.
So you captured this moment. You weren't even supposed to be filming, were you?
No.
Mike, talk to Mike.
No, I basically, I was supposed to just take stills. I did the publicity shots, okay? But we had an opportunity where Jack talked Sony into giving us a quarter pack, okay? This was $2,000 worth of equipment. And he talked to him, he conned him out of it. You know, it was just, and pretty soon, I'm now videotaping as well as taking stills, and I'm all over the place at this point. So I was lucky, and just to be able to document it was great. And the Joffrey was always good to me. They let me in, and I was just a kid. I was like the same age as these guys, and they let me come in, photograph. I was part of the team. I was part of the family, and it was an amazing thing. And learning, meeting Twyla, meeting all these dancers, it was an incredible experience. And then working with graffiti artists, I didn't know anything about it. I just got tossed into the mix, and I enjoyed it. It defined me after a while.
What did the ballerinas think?
They liked us because they were, no, they did like us because they weren't that old. They were the young, they're young. So they were looking at stuff and flirting. Yeah, so, we took that as, something that we liked. So we were like enjoying the moment, as you can say, because that took us to other experiences as far as, down the line, we had our first showcase at the Razor Gallery in 1973 in Soho. I used to wear a hat, like a different hat, so it was a great show because we got to sell all the paintings. There was a lot of collaborative paintings, and Andy Warhol came over there and said, wow, this is really great stuff here. So it was like a new thing in the art world where the graffiti was first time shown in the gallery.
And we got some of those paintings, including ones you made a block away.
Yes.
Tell me about the grand finale. Did you all come out and give a bow with the ballerinas?
Yeah, they were a little dizzy from the spray paint. We're used to it. Real quick, Steve and I, where was it? Lincoln Center just had the Joffrey Ballet 70 years. So they had an exhibition there, and they had us 4 pieces with our faces, silhouettes up on the thing, and people dancing. So they actually be guest speakers at a walking tour. And one of the ladies in the thing says, I was there at the show, I watched you guys.
That's unbelievable.
And then with Henry's other book that came out by Stafford.
But tell me about
I'm sorry.
what happened. You come out on stage. Tell me about the grand finale.
Yeah, so we went out there and, taking bows, seeing everybody, people, Steve and Sharman. You guys, there's a shot that you guys took, they were spraying, and blue paint is coming out.
Yeah, so let me interrupt that. So it's Michael and Migdal standing in front, and while they're telling us to bow in front of everybody, and the show's finale, we get up to the front, we're holding the spray cans. So this is what I'm trying to remember when I was speaking to you. I'm trying to figure if you guys said to spray into the audience. And which nobody else did except me. Because I'm so used to spraying, I love to spray. So I just sprayed, they caught that, and the spray's coming out with my face showing right out of the can. I'm the only one spraying in the audience. And I don't know what happened from there, everybody was just clapping and laughing. They said, wow, this guy really sprayed into the audience? Yeah, that's what I did.
What sticks with you? What sticks with you, Michael, and starting with you in the middle? After 50 plus years, people are still coming to you for the photos, the video, it's being celebrated. What sticks with you about this?
It was just a lot of fun. It was, it wasn't like work. It was a pleasure to work with these guys. And I remember, the one thing I remember about the ballet was, at the end of the ballet, there was this cloud, red, green, blue, and it just was over the whole stage.
Michael, talk to the mic.
And it was just all over. It was incredible thing to see all these clouds of paint. And the dancers didn't like it, okay? It was hard for them. And eventually Twyla took the painting away. And it ruined the ballet. She just put a static background on it. And it was never the same. This was unique, okay? And to see the painting go. And like, I was very happy to be a part of it. It was a lot of fun.
Steve, what do you think? What's your takeaway here?
I don't remember that part because I just remember the positive part, because we did that a few times. And then this actual backdrop ballet type of show was actually replicated twice or 3 times with the same type of artwork that we were doing. So how they did not like it is I don't understand that, because they did replicate the show.
You were first.
Yeah, we were the first ones to do it.
There you go. See? And Mike, what do you got in closing? You caused some mischief? You caused some mischief, you said?
Yeah.
Well, you need the mic.
I'm having flashbacks every day. So again, we're 15 years old, and you know, I know Roger asked me a direct question how I feel before, but real quick, with the ballet, Henry Zell's book came out, and the ballet Rena was there, and I showed her the book. She said, "That's me in the middle." So I just met her a few months ago. She's still alive, you know what I mean? So it's amazing how everything comes in full swing. So what happened? I'm doing acid and everything. You know, if you see my writing, we made the New York magazine, so 8-page spread, and they put us up there. And if you see how my handwriting was, I was way off course. So you know, I was reading through all the guys' colors. I'm just like freaking out on the thing. So afterwards, we went in the back, and Raby, 954, he's 14 years old, big afro, and Stitch, of course, you know. And we go in the back, and they got the prop room. So there's a big sword, like 6 feet tall, you know, from King Arthur days. So they take it and put it like, Mike, come here. They put it down my pants, and they get Steve's jacket, because it's February watch, and he puts it over me. He had the brown one with the fur and the big question mark on it. And we go out to take a group shot, so everyone gets on the floor. But if you notice me, I'm standing next to you, go up like this. I got a sword.
Talking to the mic. Talking to the mic.
You know, so you know, again, I didn't get to say that, like, you guys did something, you put it back in. So I caused mischief. That's why I wasn't in some of the father shows after. Richard Goldstein, who wrote the New York magazine, asked to interview me, and I took him to the Heights, the Radisson Corner, to George Washington High School, and all that. And he was able to put that in and mention my name, you know, about me and Steve and what we did. So it was great. We got 15 minutes of fame at 15 years old. So that was the pinnacle of our life, graffiti. But today this is Mount Everest for us. You know?
The 1960s through the early 70s. The simple signature inspired untold numbers of others, and it captured the attention of a reporter, and you're going to hear about that in a little bit too. TAKI was the first New York City writer to become famous for graffiti in the press, and the first to go all city. Please welcome TAKI. Trying to find the video. You got it? Okay. It'll play in a second. Hello. You grew up in Washington Heights. What was it like in the late 60s, early 70s?
It was really nice because it's like not being in the city. There's a lot of trees and everything, but it's so urban. So it was just a lot of fun. I don't know what to tell you.
That's all right. You were just a kid being a kid.
Just being a kid.
You were part of the Greek Orthodox Youth Association?
Yeah, we hung around the Greek Orthodox Church, and we always had to do some kind of mischief we had to do. And my friend were doing graffiti. So I said, let me try that. And, you know, they went that way and I went that way with it.
Who were your friends?
Greg 69, Phil T. Greek, a bunch of other guys.
So you're just hanging out with your friends, they were writing on stuff, so you figured, I'm gonna write on stuff too.
Yeah, that was it.
So tell me about the name TAKI. Where does that come from?
Well, it's the short of Demetrius, because when you're small, they call you Dimitraki. But no small little kids say Dimitraki, so just say Taki. So that's where the name came out of it.
And what made you add the 183? Did you see other graffiti at the time that had numbers after it?
204 was writing 204. And we figured out it was the street after a while, because Greg was writing the year 69, Phil was writing Greek. I said, I'll put the street.
Was the secret who you were?
Excuse me?
Was it a secret who you were? Were you mysterious?
Oh yeah, we were all secret. People would be talking about who are these guys, and we'd be next to them, and we'd be inside joke. That was the cool thing.
Was it because you were worried you were doing something illegal, or it was just more fun to keep it a secret?
No, it was just being more fun to keep it a secret. When it became illegal, then it was a good thing. Not to be known.
Were you even thinking of it as an illegal activity?
When I was like killing George Washington High School and the school I was going to, I knew it wasn't a good thing. You know, for the people.
That was a good thing for you.
Yeah.
Were you all using the word graffiti? What were you calling it?
I think we're just writing. We're even calling it tagging yet. We're just writing. You know, you didn't meet a guy, said, do you say, oh, you write? Yeah, I write. That's it.
So you were pretty famous in your high school and your name was everywhere. Did people in your high school know who you were?
In high school, yeah, everybody knew. And at the end, the principal found out.
Was there a story there?
No, I'll leave that on the outside.
Some parents probably got called?
Yeah, parents and, you know, robbing, stuff like that.
You haven't told me that story before.
Yeah, well, you know.
I'll
I don't want
bug
to bury it without it, you know.
you another time.
Yeah.
How did you meet other people that were doing graffiti outside of your circle?
You would just see it on the wall. There would be an intersection of places that people would write, like in the subway. And then you found out other people that do it. Just, it wasn't like we looked out for each other, but people would be doing it, and that you other people that are doing it, and that's how you would meet them.
So you were sort of indirectly creating a network.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But you were mostly writing your name alone, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing it very by myself, only because I was doing deliveries, and I only had a marker in my hand.
You would do most of your writing during the day also, wouldn't you?
Yeah, mostly on the east side.
So you start in 1969, I think we figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And your friends probably start a little while before. And by 1970, you've destroyed your high school, everyone knows who you are, you've gotten out of your neighborhood somewhat because you're traveling with your friends, you're going throughout the city doing different things. And then you get a job as a messenger. Tell me about this job.
You would be delivering packages, and they give you car fare if you're going uptown or side the avenues. But the way you made money was walk, so they let you keep the money, obviously. So that's where I'd be hitting everywhere.
Just broad daylight, so you got your name throughout the entire city.
Yeah,
Lots of places there was no graffiti probably.
not really. Yeah.
What kind of marker were you using and how many were you going through?
Whatever you could get, you know, whatever falls into my hands.
How did you acquire them?
have big pockets, what can I say?
There's a New York Times article about you that, if anyone's looking up graffiti, especially at the library years ago, Microfiche, if any of you remember, the New York Times article about you comes up, which is printed in subway art, it's printed in so many different things. This is the article. How did that article happen? Tell us about it.
Big New York Times. I don't even know how they found me. But obviously I said, "You want an interview?" And I said, "Fine." And I didn't think it was going to go anywhere.
Did they called your house?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it's so long ago.
And you're 17 years old talking to the New York Times.
Yeah. It was only the Times, you know.
Did they want to take your picture?
No.
Would you have let them?
No. No last name and anything. Still want to be anonymous.
As that article comes out, it's more towards the end of your writing career, though, correct?
Probably after that summer, I really slowed down.
You gave me a copy of the newspaper years ago that you found in your basement somewhere. It was folded in an envelope, yellowed with age, and it had your dad's handwriting at the top of it, which is on display down the street also. What did your parents think? You were in the Times. Obviously, they knew enough to clip it.
Well, my father didn't the New York Times, but probably somebody who knew him said, "Isn't that your kid?" And he said, "Yeah, that's my kid. Give me that thing." And he actually put the date on it, which is kind of cool.
You end up in Rolling Stone. You end up in Interview Magazine. You have a story too. Didn't Andy Warhol want to meet you?
Yeah, they said, "Go down to meet Andy Warhol." I said, "Okay, so what's going to happen if I go there?" "And he'll take a picture of you." I said, you know. So, you know, what's the big deal? So I said, "I'll pass on."
You really didn't have any association with the art world, did you?
No, I knew who he was, but, you know, I'd rather go up to Fort Tryon and do frisbees, you know.
Is it true that you rode on a Secret Service car?
Yeah, I had to do it. Because they were protecting somebody. I said, "No, I gotta do this." You know,
Who were they protecting?
some woman, I don't know. They were like all over her. So they couldn't look at the car and at the woman at the same time. But the guy was sharp, he caught me.
What happened?
Grabbed my arm. He had to let me go. What are they gonna drop and throw me in the car too, you know?
What about the Statue of Liberty commercial?
That was really cool. Because whoever did the commercial about the coughing, and it was on the stairs on the A train, where you can take the elevator or walk up, and I did it. It's a really long walk, and I did it at the middle of the stairs. So they filmed it with the wife and the kids walking, and the guy's losing his breath. But whoever did the commercial, they did it. I guess they had to walk everybody up to the middle of the stairs and have it with my name on behind it.
They had to. You're TAKI. It's
Yeah.
normal.
And because of that, people called me up that I hadn't heard from years. So that was a cool thing.
That's a very
That's
cool.
what's cool about it.
I've still never been able to find that commercial. If anyone
Yeah.
has a copy, let us know. How many tags do you estimate you did?
I don't know. I mean, on a good day, I was probably doing 25, 50.
So thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, piles of graffiti things.
Why do you stop?
Well, the job changed. I got a car and I got a girlfriend, and I said, "All right, let's move on."
Do you ever get the itch?
Yeah. I did somebody's shirt before.
Do you have a marker in your pocket right now?
No.
So 55-ish years later, after you start TAKI, we're sitting here on stage with the Whitney. This culture has changed and people continue to look at you as the guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're just here hanging out, which is one of my favorite things about you. You just want to be friends and tell the story.
Yeah, it's, nobody has any new questions. That's good. After 55 years, it's always the same questions.
Yeah,
But it's good.
it's what this, it's, you know, everybody, different crowds.
Yeah, different crowd.
What do you want us to ask?
I'm wondering about somebody who just starts writing right now. Why do they do it? You know, like the 15-year-old kid that does it the first time. Are they doing it because somebody's doing it? They want to be up there just to be up there every time they walk by? Or they want their friends to know, look, I'm all over the place.
I think they want to be in the New York Times like TAKI.
Yeah, well, they probably don't even know about that.
You'd be surprised. But thank you for being here. Thank you all. And we got one more thing. Just to come out of the graffiti world and put his mark on culture globally. Today you'll find Futura collaborations in fashion, sculpture, music, and museums, where he just closed a show at the Bronx Museum. Futura is unlike any other artist today. He was part of the early wave of graffiti and even went on to UGA to visit, to see it. He went to the Razor Gallery show, but unfortunately most of Futura's early work of his first part of his career is very undocumented. When going through the Matta-Clark negatives and finding an amazing marker hit on the front of a train, I was floored. I wanted to send it to him, but I wasn't sure when I should, or, you know, what the right environment to send it to him was. I didn't just necessarily want to send it as a text message. I wasn't really sure. But this was the earliest known Futura tag in a photo. And you can tell by looking at it, with the style and command of the marker, he had been doing it for a while. This wasn't something he had just started. I shared the image with Futura in many conversations about these early days, and his early proof of life of his career continued to happen. They were new conversations I hadn't had with him before. They were inspiring, and here we are to celebrate that. Some of his first act of graffiti. Welcome Futura to the stage, and let him talk about this. Thank you. You want to sit there, or you want over here? Whichever you want. No, it's just you.
Oh, wow.
It's you. You're in charge.
Oh man, this is such an amazing day. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Roger. Let's be honest, okay? Thank you for your passion and your commitment to our story. You just continue telling it. And thank you, Gordon. Thank you, the family, the archival legacy. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, White Columns. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all, obviously, being here with us today. Man, what a moving experience. I have like chicken skin because, you know, it's real. First, Mike, Steve, you guys, UGA, Hugo, City College, you said 72. This young man here graduated high school, 1972. He's 16. My birthday's in November. I always look younger. I'm going to be 70. I feel like I'm fucking 50, so imagine me as a 15-year-old. I look like 11, which was great. I couldn't get girls, but it was great. Anyway, I tried to go to college that semester, that fall. My mom was pushing my academics. I wasn't, but I was under the whip. I'm an only child, and my mother was the authority in my life. So I started being a fan. Well, I started looking at graffiti. It's funny you mentioned G-Dub High School in the Writers Corner, 188, Snakes, Crew, you know, the founding area of all these gentlemen, a couple of beautiful women as well. But I lived on the one line. I lived on 103rd Broadway. So all their tags just rolled up and down the aisle. And I was so inspired by them. Once I found out, oh, I forgot to mention, I'm trying to go to college. I go up to City College, I'm from 103rd Broadway. Who do I see up there? A guy named Hugo Martinez. He's organizing these kids. So, being a college student, smart enough to like be a little sleuth, and I used to just trail these guys. I mean, first of all, TAKI 183, I give you a pretty good idea he lives on 183rd Street. So to find these guys back in the day was very easy, let's be honest. So I was all over that, because once again, I'm an only child, I have a fucking incredible imagination, so I was on it. You know, it's like Sherlock Holmes with the fucking magnifying glass. But easy crime to crack, okay? I was on to them, but Hugo fucking hated me. You know that, right? He hated me. Because he knew this guy. He's like, hey, get out of here. He's like, you're a fucking fly on the wall. And I was, okay? I was a toy. But I knew who was what, and when everything happened, I didn't see you guys on stage. I was at the Razor Gallery, read Richard's shit, New York Magazine, was a forerunner to the Faith of Graffiti, which is the first Bible. And now let's get to the pictorial essay of our culture. That was it. Faith of Graffiti came out. No one saw this. We're reminiscing and going into a historical database here. It's great that it exists, and I'm so thank you, because it is proof of life.